We begin with breaking news. 3 people have been killed and several others wounded in a shooting in the Dutch city of Utrecht. Now, Dutch police say they're searching for a 37-year-old Turkish-born man in connection with the incident. They have named the suspect as Gökman Tanis and released this image. Now, people are being warned not to approach him but to contact authorities. Emergency services are at the tram station in Utrecht city centre where the shooting was first reported. The city's mayor says a terror motive is the most plausible explanation. Now, Rix Ozinga is a crime reporter at RTV Utrecht. He joins us on the line from the city. Welcome to DW, Rix. Let's start with the suspect, this Gökman Tanis. What can you tell us about him?
Good day to you too. Well, we found out that Gökman Tanis is very well known to the police. He was previously convicted at least 5 or 6 times for burglary, bicycle theft, threatening a police officer, and 2 weeks ago he was in court in a rape case. Well, apparently he was in jail, but apparently in awaiting of his case he has been freed. And an interesting thing, in 2013 he was also convicted for an incident with a gun. He apparently shot at an apartment building not far from where the shooting today took place, and he was convicted for that and for owning a weapon and some other stuff back then in 2013 already.
What's being said about a motive?
Well, about a motive, I think it's more and more probable that it has something to do within the relational. It could have been something like a blood revenge. It doesn't look like a man who would commit a terror attack. In the neighborhood, people say that he's crazy, that he's not a stable person. So, well, on one side you could say, well, maybe he is inspired by something like what happened in Christchurch, New Zealand. On the other hand, it could be something completely different. People are saying that it was his sister-in-law who was one of the victims. Well, that's not confirmed, but if it is so, I think we have to rule out that it was really a terror attack. But meanwhile, authorities are still keeping up the highest level of security here in Holland.
Walk us through the sequence of events as we know it, because the picture is quite unclear at the moment as to how many shootings there were and what happened. So, to the best of your knowledge, what was the sequence of events?
Well, at a quarter to 11, we got the message that there had been a shooting in or near a tram in the city of Utrecht, in Kanaleiland, and after that we got another message that a woman had been shot by at least 4 men, and then news started popping up of incidents all around town. Police raided homes all around town, not only in the area where the shooting took place. So, sort of panic took hold of people. Schools were closed, and that, of course, is something that when you put up the security level is automatically done. Utrecht has got the most important train station in the Netherlands, so the train station was shut down. Well, there was so much not known about what was going on, and with the terror attack in New Zealand in the back of our heads, and a couple of months ago, a terrorist cell, a real one, was discovered in Holland. Well, that's I think an explanation for this big thing it became.
Good talking to you, Rix. Thank you so much for joining us. Rix Ozinga in Utrecht, in the Netherlands.
You're welcome.
So this, of course, is happening in the wider context of attacks around the world. DW's Hannah Cleaver is here to just sort of fill us in. So one of the strong suspicions, then, is that this was a terror attack.
Yes, but there are also some significant suggestions suggest that this might have been a personal thing that was going on. And really, it's the response that matters. It's this, all these images of armed security people on the streets. We saw recently, I think, even like one of those robots that they send in to see whether there's a bomb knocking around. It's this response, this panic, this fear, this sense of uncertainty, and that is, we can see there the effect of terrorism globally taking effect. That's what people want to achieve, and whether the terrorists are Islamist extremists or far-right fascists, this is exactly what they want to achieve, and they're doing that. There's no other way that the security services in any country could possibly react. But this is the fruit, this is the harvest of terror attacks around the world. That's what we're seeing.
And of course, there's a responsibility on media to behave in a certain way that some people might even call censorship.
Some people could call that censorship. I mean, with the New Zealand killing, there was plenty of video. I mean, the guy was live streaming his attack as he carried it out. That was on an awful lot of social media, which was then repeatedly taken down, I think more than 1 million times. Most responsible journalism houses, ourselves included, decided instantly not to broadcast any of that. But there are signals that people give that when the main suspect in Christchurch was in front of the court yesterday, he was making a sign with his hands, which many people were saying there's a far-right extremist sign. Those are things that media has to decide whether to broadcast or not. We decided, most responsible media decided not even to show his face, because you don't want to create another Anders Breivik, the guy who shot up all those people in Norway. You don't want to create another hero, another Mohammed Atta. It doesn't even matter which side of the fence you're on. You don't want to create these heroes.
And so the shooting that we're hearing about now in Utrecht, we're talking about the Netherlands, which, like New Zealand, a society often praised as being wide open.
Right. Holland is almost similar to New Zealand. I mean, it's a nice, happy, small, little open society, but that comes at a cost. Holland is the kind of society where you could have a filmmaker like Theo van Gogh make a film criticising the violence that takes place against women within the context of Islam. But Holland is also the place where he was then in 2004 murdered on the street by Islamist extremists because of the film he made. Holland is the place where you can say, in many ways, you've had very successful integration of refugees, of migrants from all over the world, but it's also the home of Geert Wilders, who is massively anti-Muslim and inspired this huge Pegida movement, which has spread around Europe. And in fact, in January, there was a Pegida demonstration in Utrecht in front of a mosque. I mean, you've got these two sides of things, which really, is this huge conflict that you can see around the world now.
All right. So, given that we don't know whether this was a personal or a wider terror attack, then the response is something we have to just get used to.
The response is the new normal. That's where we've arrived at, and I don't see personally really how we can get away from that. When some guy, if it's a personal thing that happened today, if he decides to shoot his girlfriend or something for disrespecting him or for leaving him or something, that nowadays triggers this huge response because people are worried it's a terrorism attack.
Right. Hannah Cleaver, thank you so much.